Hello friends, today's our topic is about from economics, Indian economy on the eve of independence, part 1. The objective behind this is to familiarize with India's economic status in the year of independence 1947 and colonial rule in the areas of agriculture, industrial, foreign trade, demographic condition, infrastructural development, occupational structure. In these all areas, what was India's status? In this part 1, we will only study about agricultural and industrial development. Also, we will learn about the facts that were responsible for this backwardness of the Indian economy. The introduction is India is the pivot of our empire. If the empire loses any parts of its dominion, we can survive. But if we lose India, the sun of our empire will have set. Victor Alexander Bruce. According to this definition, Victor Alexander Bruce was the Viceroy of British India. In 1894, he said, India is the pivot, means the main leading role of empire, of the Britain Empire. If the empire loses any of its parts, as any part can be lost in the empire, but if we lose India, India was a pivot role, and if they lose them, they will lose everything, their name and fame and everything. So here's from this definition only we can understand what India was for Britain. India in the pre-British period was known for as Golden Bird because of its variety of handicrafts, fine cotton, silk, precious stones, organic culture. India was a subsistence agro-based economy where farmers and other functionaries paid land revenue directly to the king. Here, before understanding the British era, the India in the pre-British era, we should understand it was endowed with the precious stones, a variety of organic items like spices, handicrafts, cotton, and silk. It was low productivity can be seen in the crop and wheat 600 kg per hectare was produced, while it is comparison 3216 right now. In rice 665 kg per hectare and 2550 per hectare right now it is produced, and the total production overall was 64 lakh tons and 220 lakh tons of rice. Now it is 984 in comparison to 64 and 1102 lakh tons in comparison to 120 lakh tons of rice. Coming back to the second point, the agriculture faced the high degree of uncertainty due to the dependency on the rainfall and the lack of wells and canals. Subsistence farming. The India's farming and the agriculture was mostly subsistence, that is, the farmers did farming only for their own livelihood, not for as a business. These 2 points states the backwardness of the Indian economy. Gulf between owners and tillers. The owners here means the landowners who were owning the land, and the tillers mean the small farmers. The tillers have to pay for all the cost of production to the owner, and also the tillers have to pay the cost of production to the owners, and owners has nothing to do with the cost of production. They only took their amount and paid taxes to the government. Small and fragmented land holdings. The land holdings were small and fragmented. Fragmented means one piece here and there, which resulted in the low output. Land revenue system in at that time was zamindari system was followed. That is, tillers paid to the zamindars and zamindars in turn paid to the government. There was no direct link between tillers and the government. That's why the zamindar took the profit of the tillers and exploited them too early. Forced commercialization of agriculture. Farmers were forced to grow indigo, for which they shifted from wheat and rice to indigo plantation. Now they needed cash for survival. When they were growing the wheat and rice in the plantation, they were able to grow wheat and rice for plantation. They were able to grow and earn their living, but now they needed cash for their living. Industrial sector on the eve of independence. Decay of handicrafts and systematic deindustrialization. The handicrafts almost decayed due to the systematic deindustrialization, means the industrialization was a opposite of the industrialization, that is the decay of handicrafts and improvisation of their technological industries and their own material of the Britain. Competition from mechanic products, low cost and excelled in quality. Discriminatory tariff policy of the state. The state had a discriminatory tariff policy like tariff-free export of raw materials and the tariff import of finished products from Britain. Disappearance of princely courts. The princely courts are the Rajas and the Nawabs who were destroyed. Their patronized handicrafts and rural industries. New pattern of demand. The demand arose as we were attracted towards the Western culture. Our demand for the Westernization improved. Expanding foreign market. Introduction of railways. With the introduction of railways, the foreign market expanded and the import of the foreign goods was done at a larger scale. Expansion of domestic market. The domestic market also expanded. Change in outlook of the farmers as business, but now a positive outlook was the farmers' outlook was first as a subsistence agriculture. Now they were taking the farming as a business. Taking journeys and move to far off places. Moreover, it helped in the journey to more far off places. Faster movement of food grains, and the food grains were be able to transport here and there in the fast. Exploitation of the Indian market for raw material. The main policy of the British was not too good for the economy, but they exploited the Indian market and they developed railway only for their exploitation for raw material and import of British material, finished product to India for sale.